Well, hey there. Today is another episode of the Lessons from Men Who Matter. If you missed the previous episodes, it's a very simple premise. I'm going to talk with you and share with you some stories from some really cool men that I've known in my life, living or gone, that have passed on things, ideas, traits, lessons that I think not only were good for me to know, but are worth sharing with you and that can probably provide some value, some insight, some humor, and some goodness to your life. So today, I'm going to share about my friend Rick Harris. Now, Rick is a super unique individual, and I must first tell you how I came to know Rick, because he lives as far away from me in the United States, continental United States, as you can. His family is way up in the Pacific Northwest of Washington. Years ago, when I began using social media to help grow the training business, people would reach out to me and they'd say, hey, come do a class by us. Come out to Iowa or Florida, or in this case, Washington, and do a class. And in this situation, Rick's son, I didn't know Rick, his son, William, who's become a dear friend of mine since, reached out and said, hey, man, you should come to the beautiful state of Washington. We'll hang out. We'll have some beers, cook some steaks, and we'll shoot. And I said, do you have a range? And he said to me, well, what do you need? He said, my dad owns some land. And I said, okay, well, we're going to need an area about this big by this big. And he goes, well, I don't have that, but let me get back to you. Rick was a logger back in the day and bought up clear-cut land really cheap 50 years ago. It was not worth a lot. It was just tree stumps. But he knew, because he's a smart dude, that this land was going to be beautiful once again. And now it's these huge stands of beautiful trees. So his son came to him, said, hey, Pop, I got this guy I want to do a class. We want to shoot some guns. Can we build a range on the property? And Dad said, sure. So they went and got a bulldozer and felled a bunch of trees, and they built a beautiful training range in the woods that we have used ever since. So I go out there, and it was magical. I'd never visited the Pacific Northwest until then, being in these amazing stands of trees that were new compared to the old growth stuff, but still beautiful 75, 100-foot tall trees. Air as clear as can be, black-tailed deer everywhere, the sound just feet away from where we were shooting. This is on a small peninsula of land. Anyway, Rick would come out to the range, as he still does, and I'll see him this summer, 2026. We have a class out there in 2026. He'd come out and he'd have a bottle of beer with us and shoot the breeze, of course, when training was done. And he'd say, come on, boys, gather around. And he'd tell us stories. Tell us stories of the day's logging. Tell us stories of working his tail off, leaving the house at like 2, 3 in the morning to get up into the mountains so that they could be there to take advantage of the light. And these guys would work like animals. He did all the logging jobs. So when you see those shows like that were on the History Channel, Discovery Channel about the loggers, he knew some of those guys, and he did all those jobs. Running through the trees, dragging the heavy cables, running the crane, running the log trucks, all those things he did for years. And he buys this piece of property, okay? We're talking 50-ish years ago. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he's got a beautiful wife, and he loves the heck out of her. And they decide, you know what, we're going to build this life out here on this peninsula, and it's going to be our place, and it's going to be our life, and it's going to be awesome. They're working their butts off, not a lot of money, and he starts with his own 2 hands. He and his wife, Marilyn, who's an equally lovely human, bought what they could afford at the time. These are just young people, right? Starting out in life. They'd drag home a pile of lumber. They'd drag home a couple of windows. They'd get a couple sacks of concrete. They'd build some cabinets. They'd get some shingles. And over the course of some years, they built their house piece by piece, stick by stick, nail by nail, shingle and window by window until they had a home. I've been to the home many times. We have supper there when we visit. They heat it by wood. It's got gardens that are unfathomable. They use every square inch of soil around the property to benefit. They've got bees. They've got fruit trees. They've got berries. In Marilyn, who is an amazing gardener, grows all of these fantastic vegetables and fruits and then cans them. And whenever we leave, we get to leave with honey and jam and different things that she's canned. And it's such a sweet and pure life. You sit, we go to their home, and we always have a single big meal before we leave. And Rick goes salmon fishing every year with friends and always saves a big old slab for when we come. And I'm talking, you go to a restaurant anywhere in the country to get a slab of salmon like this, it'd be $100 plate. I mean, this is just a monster chunk of salmon. Delish. And they cook this thing up, and Marilyn will do a loganberry cobbler, which is primo. And you sit and you talk, and nobody's on their phone. Nobody's got the TV going in the background. Actually, oftentimes, maybe there's a little music, but often not. What you see is a son, my friend Will, and his wife, Amanda, lovely friend as well, who live down the road, spending time with their in-laws and parents. And you see a father and son that truly love each other. They hunt, they do chores together, they help maintain each other's properties, they look out for each other. You see a son who loves his mother. You see family and people that have built a deeply connected life, a community down the road from each other, living in the woods, living off nature, eating, commiserating, talking, laughing, loving. And the last time I was out there, it wasn't the first time I heard this story, but this was the last time that he told it to me, so I'll share it with you. We're sitting at the table, myself, Bennett, Will, Amanda, and Rick and Marilyn, and I'm asking Rick, I'm like, tell me about how you guys met again. It's a lovely story. And he tells the story about how he met this beautiful young girl and was smitten, and they've been together 50 years. And tears roll down his face as he tells the story because he is so grateful, not just for his beautiful wife, he's so grateful for this beautiful life, but that the cosmos, the ether, the chance and happenstance that life dishes out to us happened in a way that he met this beautiful soul that was a perfect match for him. And she said yes. And they have lived this awesome life. They're really amazing people. They love the outdoors. They've got a camper, and they go to the desert and just spend days in the wintertime in the desert, collecting rocks, watching sunrises and sunsets, grilling food, laughing, joking, and just living. The gratitude that he has for friends, for a good piece of meat. You watch the joy in this guy's eyes, who was probably one of the hardest working people that I've ever met, that just grounded out for decades, trashed his body, climbing up and down mountains, running saws, driving big diesel machines, long before they had quiet mufflers on these things, or before people thought about OSHA and all that. It was get the job done because you had to make hay, so to speak, while the sun shined. Carved out this beautiful life, and he is filled with such a sense of gratitude. I always make sure that as I am with them, try to soak up as much of that as possible. So my lesson from Rick is that your job might have you away from home for long hours. You might beat yourself up. Your ears might ring at the end of a career. Your knees might ache. But hopefully you have made a life with people that are close to you, physically, hopefully, emotionally, importantly, and you can just find the joy and the gratitude again in the things that really are what matters in this life. Wealthy people, no, they're not millionaires or billionaires, but wealthy in the sense they have all that they need, all that they want. They have plenty of money, but they have crafted this life through hard work, through dedication, through being good stewards of the things that they had, not just the land, but the resources. They worked hard, they made good money, but they saved it. They didn't blow it. And now it's just about living and enjoying. And I'm sure that they did that every day after school, etc., throughout that life. So I hope that you enjoyed the story about the Harris family and what they mean to me. I look forward to seeing them in this upcoming summer trip out there. Some of you that watch the channel have trained on that range and you've met these people. You know what I'm talking about. They are great humans. Hope to share another one of these stories with you soon. If you're watching today, which is the last day of 2025, let's be more like Rick in this coming year. If you're watching after that, you can be more like Rick today. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody that you love them. Of course, you should mean it. Give them a hug. You never know when your last day is or their last day is. These videos are being filmed inside of our roastery. This is Bob's Hot Rod Blend. And here's one of our medium roasts. This isn't just some stupid product that we're making to try to make extra money. This is our heart and soul. Bennett stands at that roaster for hours, keeping copious notes of first crack, second crack, roast times, all the good things that go into it, moisture contents, and really to produce a product that we're passionate to put on your table to know that your family is going to enjoy the heck out of it. If you really want to support us, consider making your daily coffee something with no gimmicks. Ignis Lux is Latin for firelight. When I came up with that logo years ago, I was trying to capture this idea of this fire that burns inside of us, that is the ethos of what we are, the ethos that Rick lives by to this day, and that I hope that you live by too. Be well. See you guys soon. Bye now.
Check that out. He's got a juicy cord! Oh my god!
What the fuck?